Ethan Hale only wanted to finish his delivery and leave. The station was called Orm's Spire, a floating city made of glass, gold metal, and quiet rules. It rotated slowly in space, holding dozens of species that rarely trusted each other but loved ceremony. Ethan had been here many times. He knew the paths, the customs, and most importantly, how to stay out of trouble. He pushed a small hover cart through the wide corridor. On the cart were sealed containers filled with food, crystal drinks, and ceremonial spice plates. A wedding order. A big one. Rich clients, alien nobles, lots of strange traditions. Ethan did not care. He was just the courier. His human ship was docked 3 levels down. If everything went right, he would be back aboard within the hour, drinking bad coffee and plotting his next paycheck. The corridor opened into a grand hall. Tall arches curved above him like frozen waves. Soft light flowed through the walls, changing color with the music that echoed gently in the air. Alien guests moved around in groups, wearing robes, armor, living fabric, or nothing at all. Some floated. Some walked on too many legs. Some did not seem fully solid. Ethan kept his eyes forward and his steps calm. Humans had a reputation here. Not bad, not good. Just strange. Too expressive. Too fast. Too stubborn. He reached the reception desk near the ceremonial chamber and tapped his wrist pad. "Delivery for binding union of House Selthra," he said. The desk shimmered, forming a floating symbol. "Confirmed. Please wait." Ethan sighed and leaned against his cart. Waiting always meant something would go wrong. The music changed. At first, it was subtle. The soft background sound deepened, slowing into a steady rhythm. The lights dimmed slightly. Guests paused mid-conversation. Ethan frowned. "That's early," he muttered. A distant tone echoed through the hall. Doors slid shut behind him. Locks clicked. The air felt heavier, charged. "Oh no," Ethan said quietly. A station announcement began, calm and smooth. Ceremonial protocol engaged. Please remain in place. Binding dance, sequence initializing. Guests stepped back, forming a wide circle in the center of the hall. Some looked excited. Others looked nervous. A few looked afraid. Ethan tried the nearest door. It did not open. "Hey," he said to a passing attendant. A tall, blue alien with glowing eyes. "I'm just a delivery guy." The attendant avoided his gaze. "The dance has chosen," it said, and moved away quickly. Ethan's stomach tightened. From the far end of the hall, shadows gathered. The lights dimmed further, pulling attention toward a raised platform. A figure emerged, tall and graceful, moving like the music itself guided her steps. She was humanoid, but clearly not human. Her skin was pale silver, smooth and faintly glowing. Her eyes were deep red, reflective like polished stone. Long dark hair flowed down her back, moving as if alive. She wore a flowing black garment edged with crimson light. Whispers spread through the hall. "Nightborn. Selthra. Vampire." Ethan swallowed. Lady Valisra of House Selthra stopped at the edge of the circle. Her gaze swept across the gathered crowd, slow and sharp. When her eyes reached Ethan, they stopped, locked. Ethan felt it like a weight pressing on his chest. Not pain. Attention. The station AI spoke again. "Bonded partner identified. Commencing dance." Ethan's wristpad chimed. A glowing symbol appeared on his skin, matching the one floating above Valisra's hand. "No, no, no," Ethan whispered. Valisra stepped forward. Each movement was smooth, controlled, powerful. She stopped directly in front of him. "You are not of the invited houses," she said, her voice calm but rich, like deep water. "Yeah," Ethan said quickly. "I'm just here with the food." A ripple of reaction moved through the crowd. Some aliens stiffened. Others leaned in closer. Valisra tilted her head slightly. "Yet, the system has chosen you." "I didn't choose anything," Ethan said. "If this is a mistake, I can leave. I really don't want to cause problems." Valisra's lips curved. Not quite a smile, Refusal is a problem. Ethan's heart pounded. What happens if I refuse? The station AI answered. Ceremonial refusal by a bonded partner may be interpreted as insult. Diplomatic consequences, likely. Ethan looked around. Every exit was sealed. Every eye was on him. Well, he said softly, this day got weird fast. Valisra extended her hand. Long fingers, sharp nails, polished and elegant. The dance is not combat, she said. If you fear me, you will survive it. Ethan took a slow breath. He thought of his sister's wedding back on Earth. Awkward dancing, too much food, bad music, nothing like this. He placed his hand in hers. The contact sent a strange sensation through him. Cool, but not cold. Strong, but careful. The music swelled. They moved. At first, Ethan struggled to follow. The steps were unfamiliar, the rhythm complex. Valisra guided him without force, leading with subtle pressure and perfect timing. Her movements were precise, controlled, almost predatory. Ethan did what humans did best. He adapted. He stopped trying to predict and started reacting. He focused on balance, on timing, on staying upright and not stepping on her feet. His nervousness settled into concentration. The fear turned into focus. Valisra noticed. Her eyes narrowed slightly as she felt the change. Most partners trembled. Most tried to submit or flee. Ethan did neither. His emotions were steady, flowing but controlled. Interesting, she thought. As they danced, faint red light flowed between them, invisible to Ethan but clear to the watching Selthra elders. Emotional resonance. The measure of the ritual. It did not spike with terror. It did not collapse into submission. It held steady. Whispers grew louder. A human? No panic. How? Ethan's thoughts drifted as his body moved. He wondered if the food was getting cold. He wondered if his boss would believe this excuse. He wondered if he would survive the night. Valisra leaned closer as the dance slowed. You are afraid, she said quietly. Yeah, Ethan replied honestly, but I'm used to working under pressure. Her eyes studied him deeply. Most lie. I'm bad at lying, he said. The corners of her mouth lifted slightly. The music shifted again. Deeper now. The ritual was entering its next phase. Around them, unseen forces watched closely. Ethan did not know it yet, but the galaxy was beginning to pay attention, and all because he came to drop off a wedding order. The music did not stop. It grew slower, heavier, like a deep heartbeat echoing through the great hall. The lights shifted to darker shades of red and violet, and the air itself seemed to listen. Ethan moved with Valisra across the polished floor, his boots sliding just enough to keep balance. He was sweating now, not from effort alone, but from the attention pressing in from every side. He could feel it, something unseen pulling at his emotions. At first, it made him uncomfortable. A strange tightness in his chest, like someone was leaning too close without touching. Then he realized it was not pain or danger. It was focus. The dance was not just movement. It was communication. Valisra felt it clearly. The emotional field around them shimmered in soft crimson waves. Her people fed on that energy. Not flesh, not blood, but feeling. Fear was strongest. Awe came next. Submission was easy. What flowed from Ethan was none of those. It was steady, controlled, curious. She had never felt that from another species. You do not resist, Valisra said quietly as they turned. I don't see the point, Ethan replied. If I fight it, I mess up. If I panic, I mess up. So I just do the thing. Most beings cannot do the thing, she said. Ethan gave a short breath that was almost a laugh. Humans mess up a lot. You learn to keep moving. Around them, the watching aliens grew tense. Elders of House Selthra exchanged looks of confusion. The emotional readings displayed in faint holograms did not match expectation. This is wrong, one whispered. The human should be breaking. He is not empty, another replied. He is Balanced. The dance shifted again. Valisra released Ethan's hand and circled him slowly. This phase usually caused bonded partners to freeze. Separation increased emotional pull. Panic usually followed. Ethan felt the pull grow stronger, like standing near a powerful engine. His heartbeat quickened. His mind searched for something to hold on to, so he counted. Steps, beats, breaths. 1, 2, 3. Turn, breathe. The pull steadied. Valisra stopped, watching him closely. Her eyes narrowed, not in anger, but in deep interest. "You anchor yourself," she said. "My sister taught me," Ethan said. "Dancing at family weddings. If you think too much, you trip." That made her pause. Family, celebration, joy. Those emotions rippled outward. Warm and unfamiliar. The hall reacted. The red glow softened slightly. Murmurs rose again. He is feeding her without fear. That should not be possible. Valisra extended her hand again, slower this time. Ethan took it without hesitation. The moment their palms met, the emotional flow changed. It deepened, became richer. Not stronger in volume, but clearer in shape. Then, something else touched the field. Sharp, cold, wrong. Valisra felt it instantly. Her posture stiffened, her senses flaring. Across the hall, several figures shifted position, moving against the slow rhythm of the ceremony. Assassins, bound by ritual law. The Selthra guards could not act until open aggression was shown. The dance circle was sacred ground. Any interruption could cause a diplomatic fracture across systems. The assassins knew this. Ethan noticed none of the politics. But he noticed the tension. Valisra's grip tightened slightly. Her steps changed, becoming sharper. "Something's wrong," Ethan said under his breath. "Yes," Valisra replied. "And I cannot strike first." A flicker of movement caught Ethan's eye. A tall, insect-like alien near the edge of the hall lifted a slender device, aiming it toward Valisra's back. The weapon hummed softly. Charging. Ethan did not think. He moved. In the middle of a spin, he misstepped on purpose. His foot slid wide, his shoulder dipping. To any observer, it looked like a mistake. He fell into Valisra, colliding just enough to change their position. The energy bolt fired. It struck empty space where Valisra's heart had been a moment before. The blast shattered a crystal pillar behind them, sending shards across the floor. Gasps filled the hall. The ritual barrier broke. "Threat detected," the station AI announced. Selthra guards moved instantly, shadows turning solid as weapons appeared in their hands. Chaos erupted around the circle. Ethan stumbled but stayed upright. His heart raced now, fear finally breaking through. He grabbed Valisra's arm without thinking and pulled her behind him, using his body as cover. Valisra froze. No bonded partner had ever done that. Another assassin lunged forward, claws extended. Ethan kicked out. Not hard enough to injure, but enough to knock the attacker off balance. The alien crashed into a group of guests, drawing attention. Guards swarmed in, subduing the attackers with precise force. The fight was over in seconds, but the silence afterward was heavy. Ethan stood there, breathing hard, hands shaking slightly. "Oh man," he said. "I am definitely not getting paid enough for this." Valisra stared at him. "You placed yourself in danger," she said slowly. "Yeah," Ethan replied. "Seemed like the right move." The emotional field surged. Not fear, not awe, resolve. The Selthra elders felt it clearly now. A clean, sharp signal of intent. Protect. Act. Endure. "This human," one elder said quietly, "does not submit." "No," another replied. "He chooses." Valisra stepped closer to Ethan, her presence tall and commanding. She turned to face the council and the watching guests. "The ritual was challenged," she said, her voice carrying through the hall, and answered. Her gaze returned to Ethan. "You broke no law. You followed the dance." Ethan swallowed. "Am I in trouble?" Her lips curved, this time clearly a smile. "No," she said. You have complicated many things, the station AI chimed. Ritual resumed. Bond remains valid. The music returned, slower now, heavier with meaning. Ethan let out a long breath. Of course it does. Valisra took his hand again. The touch felt different now. Warmer. More equal. As they moved once more across the floor, the galaxy watched in stunned silence. A human had stood in the center of a predator ritual, and instead of breaking, he had changed it. The hall did not feel the same anymore. Where before the air had been heavy with ritual and fear, now it was tight with attention. Every movement Ethan made was watched. Every step Valisra took sent quiet ripples through the crowd. The music continued, but it was no longer guiding them. It was listening. Ethan's breathing slowly returned to normal. His hands still shook a little, but he kept them steady. Years of doing dangerous delivery jobs on bad stations had taught him one thing. Panic never helped. You breathed, you focused, and you kept moving. Valisra felt that steadiness clearly. The emotional field around them had changed shape. It was no longer feeding on fear or dominance. It was balanced, strong, and clean. To her kind, that was rare. To her, it was unsettling in a way she could not name. You did not hesitate, she said quietly as they turned. I saw something bad about to happen, Ethan replied. I reacted. That is not how most species act, she said. Ethan shrugged slightly while dancing. Humans argue about everything. But when something's about to go very wrong, we move first and explain later. That answer reached farther than he knew. Across the hall, representatives from other factions leaned together, whispering urgently. Data streams flickered above their heads, analyzing emotional output, physical response, and probability models. None of them liked what they were seeing. This is becoming dangerous, said a tall avian diplomat with silver feathers. The Selthra bond ritual is not meant to elevate outsiders. A scaled representative hissed softly. Yet the human stands unbroken. If the vampire chooses him, the balance shifts. At the center of the hall, Valisra felt the pressure of tradition closing in. The next phase of the ritual approached. A choice phase. Normally, this was where dominance was declared. The bonded partner would kneel, submit, or emotionally collapse. The Selthra would accept the offering, and the ritual would end. Ethan did none of those things. The music slowed until each beat felt like a question. Valisra stopped moving. The entire hall froze. Ethan stopped as well, unsure but attentive. He did not pull away. He did not bow. He simply waited. Valisra released his hand. A collective intake of breath echoed around them. This is the choosing moment, whispered an elder. Valisra turned fully toward Ethan. Her eyes glowed faintly, reflecting centuries of power, control, and hunger. This was the moment where she could claim him, bind him, mark him as a resource, a symbol, or a tool. She searched his emotions. She found fear, yes. But it sat beside determination, curiosity, and something else she rarely encountered. Acceptance, not submission. Acceptance of risk. You understand what this is, she said. Not really, Ethan replied honestly. But I get that it matters. It matters greatly, she said. If I choose you, many will object. Ethan glanced around at the staring aliens, the tense guards, the political weight hanging in the air. Yeah, he said. That tracks. You could still kneel, Valisra said. End this easily. Ethan thought about it. For half a second. Then he shook his head. I won't kneel, he said calmly. But I won't run either. A shock rippled through the hall. The elders stiffened. Several diplomats stood abruptly, voices rising in protest. This is unacceptable. The human challenges Selthra authority. He must be removed. Ethan felt the wave of anger and fear crash toward him. His heart sped up again. But he stood his ground. He met Valisra's gaze and did not look away. If I messed up, he said quietly, I'll take responsibility. That's how my people do things. Valisra felt something shift inside her. Responsibility, not dominance, not hunger. Choice. She raised her hand, and silence fell instantly. "This human has not insulted me," she said, her voice calm but absolute. "He has honored the dance." "That is not his place," one council member shouted. Valisra's eyes flashed. "You speak of place. Yet he stood between me and death when your rules froze you." That silenced many voices. She turned back to Ethan. "You are aware that by standing here, you represent your species." Ethan blinked. "Wait, what?" Murmurs spread again. Valisra continued. "Your actions reflect not only yourself, but humanity." Ethan swallowed hard. The weight of that statement hit him fully now. "I didn't come here for that," he said. "I know," Valisra replied. "That is why it matters." The emotional field surged again, stronger than before. Not chaotic. Focused. The Selthra elders felt it clearly. This was not prey energy. This was ally energy. A rival faction leader stepped forward, tall and sharp-featured, eyes cold. "If the vampire claims a human, we challenge the bond. Let the human prove worth." Valisra's expression hardened. "By what right?" "By tradition older than this station," the leader replied. "A trial of resolve." The hall buzzed with tension. Ethan frowned. "I don't like the sound of that." Valisra glanced at him. "It is not combat," she said. "It is endurance." "What kind?" "The kind your species is known for," she added quietly. The rival raised a device, projecting a field of crushing gravity at the center of the hall. The pressure intensified instantly. Bending the floor slightly, several aliens staggered back. Ethan felt it hit him like a heavy weight pressing down on his shoulders. His knees bent slightly, his breath became harder. He clenched his jaw. Humans had trained for this. High-gravity worlds, long shifts, broken systems. Too much weight and not enough rest. He stayed standing. Valisra watched closely, sensing his emotional output. Pain, yes. Strain, yes. But also stubborn focus. He adjusted his stance, spread his weight, slowed his breathing. Seconds passed, then a minute. The rival's expression shifted from confidence to disbelief. "He should be down," someone whispered. Ethan's vision blurred slightly at the edges, but he stayed upright. He thought of home, of his sister laughing, of long nights fixing broken engines with numb fingers. He breathed. The field finally shut down. Ethan staggered once, then caught himself. "Okay," he said hoarsely. "I officially don't like this party." Laughter rippled through the hall. Real laughter. Valisra stepped forward and placed her hand on his shoulder, steadying him. The emotional field flared brilliantly. "Undeniable now. The challenge is answered," she declared. "I choose." Silence fell so deep it felt physical. "I choose alliance," Valisra said. "Not dominance. Not consumption. Alliance with the human." Shock exploded through the council. "This changes everything," an elder whispered. "Yes," Valisra replied calmly. "It does." Ethan looked up at her, exhausted and confused. "So, what happens now?" Valisra met his eyes. "Now," she said, "the galaxy must learn what humans truly are." And far beyond the station, that lesson was already beginning. The station did not erupt into chaos. It went quiet. Not the empty silence of fear, but the heavy pause that followed something important. The kind of silence that came after a truth was spoken and could not be taken back. Ethan was still breathing hard. His legs ached. His shoulders felt like they had carried a mountain. He stood there anyway, straightening slowly, refusing to slump. He did not want to look weak now, not after everything. Valisra's hand remained on his shoulder for a moment longer, steady and firm. Then she withdrew it and turned to face the council. "Alliance has been declared," she said. "The ritual is complete." Some council members looked stunned, others looked angry. A few looked thoughtful, their eyes sharp with calculation. "This is irregular," said one elder, his voice shaking. "A human has never been." "Enough," Valisra said. Her voice was not loud, but it carried. The air itself seemed to obey her. The ritual responded. The station witnessed. The law is satisfied. The station AI confirmed it instantly. Ritual concluded. Bond resolved as alliance. Diplomatic record updated. A wave of data spread through the hall, racing across networks and relays. Somewhere, far away, governments and councils would be receiving alerts. A human had stood in a Selthra-binding ritual and walked out as an equal. Ethan finally let himself exhale fully. So, he said quietly, mostly to himself, I'm alive. That's good. Valisra glanced at him. You speak as if survival was uncertain. It usually is, Ethan replied. I just try not to think about it too much. That earned him another small smile. The guards began to relax. Guests slowly returned to motion, though many kept their eyes fixed on Ethan. Some stared openly, others bowed their heads slightly, a sign of respect from species that did not give it easily. A Selthra elder approached Valisra, lowering himself in a formal gesture. House Selthra will honor your choice, he said. But the consequences will reach far. They already have, Valisra replied. She turned to Ethan again. You should know what this means. Ethan raised an eyebrow. I have a bad feeling you're about to tell me. You are now recognized, she said, as a representative example of humanity. Ethan blinked. I'm just a delivery guy. Yes, Valisra said. And that is precisely the problem for them. She gestured subtly toward the other diplomats. They expect power to wear armor, titles, and fear. You wore none of those. Ethan scratched the back of his head. I wore boots? Valisra's shoulders moved slightly. It took Ethan a moment to realize she was laughing. The tension in the hall eased further. Conversations resumed, though they were quieter now, more careful. The wedding attendants, who had been frozen in shock for most of the ritual, slowly returned to their duties. A trembling alien approached Ethan, holding a tray. The wedding refreshments, it said. Ethan looked at the tray, then at Valisra. Are we still doing the wedding? Valisra nodded. The binding union remains valid. The ritual interruption has added significance. The music shifted again. This time lighter, celebratory. The lights brightened, warm gold replacing deep red. The hall felt different now, less like a hunting ground and more like a gathering place. Ethan stepped back slightly, feeling out of place again. I should probably finish my delivery and go. Valisra studied him. You may leave freely, she said. No bond holds you. He hesitated. And you're okay with that? Yes, she replied. Alliance is not possession. That word settled deep in Ethan's chest. Thanks, he said simply. As he turned to retrieve his cart, a group of diplomats approached, blocking his path. Their expressions were mixed: curiosity, caution, respect. You showed resilience, said the avian diplomat from earlier. Is this common among humans? Ethan thought about it. Long hours, broken machines, bad odds. Hope held together with tape and stubbornness. Pretty common, he said. We break a lot. We just keep going anyway. That answer spread faster than any data packet. Valisra watched him from the center of the hall. She felt the emotional field fading now, the ritual energy finally settling. What remained was something quieter, but stronger: understanding. She raised her voice one last time. Let this be recorded, she said. Humans are not prey. They are not tools. They are partners who walk into danger without seeking glory. The station AI recorded it. The wedding resumed fully after that. Laughter echoed through the hall. Music filled the space again. Guests danced, spoke, and celebrated. Though many still glanced toward Ethan as he loaded empty containers onto his cart, he felt strange walking away from the center of it all, like stepping out of a storm into calm air. As he reached the corridor, Valisra joined him. You will be watched now, she said. Yeah, Ethan replied. I kind of figured. Does that trouble you? He shrugged. People have been underestimating humans my whole life. Guess they just stopped. She nodded. If you ever return to Selthra space, you will be welcomed. Ethan smiled tiredly. If I do, I'll bring better shoes. They paused at the corridor entrance. For a moment, neither spoke. Thank you, Valisra said at last. Not for protecting me. For choosing to stand. Ethan met her gaze. Anytime. Then he turned and walked away, pushing his cart toward the docks. Later that day, Ethan sat alone in his ship, staring at the docking bay lights through the viewport. His hands still trembled slightly as he wrapped them around a cup of bad station coffee. His wrist pad chimed. A message from his boss. Delivery confirmed. Also, what did you do? Ethan laughed softly. Across the galaxy, reports spread. Analysts argued. Militaries adjusted threat models. Diplomats rewrote assumptions. Humans were reclassified, not as weak, not as dangerous, but as something harder to predict. Back on Aurum Spire, the wedding guests told stories of the human who danced with a vampire and did not kneel. The Selthra recorded it as the night a ritual changed purpose, and Ethan Hale, tired courier, leaned back in his chair and closed his eyes. Tomorrow, he would take another job. Because that was what humans did. They walked into the impossible by accident, and somehow they walked out standing.